You're listening to The Ride to Work with Pastor Fred. Fuel for your faith before you clock in. Enjoy the ride.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for The Ride to Work this morning. We are at Wednesday morning is where we are. And whenever or whatever time you're listening to, we normally air this at 6 a.m. on each weekday morning, but you can listen to it after it premieres at any time, and I advise you to do that. There's some good stuff that we deal with and that we talk about here on The Ride to Work, but this is just giving you something to get your day going before you clock in, just a little fuel, as we say, for your faith. And we're dealing with this week, a nation in turmoil, or should I say surviving a nation in turmoil, because that's what we at this point have to do. We are surviving a nation in turmoil, and we're talking about this United States of America. Yesterday we dealt with bread and circuses and how society, this world, albeit through the government, albeit through all types of platforms, are keeping us entertained, while up underneath, under the surface, we're morally being destroyed. We're decaying socially, educationally, politically, racially. We're just becoming more divided. So today I want to talk about something I was reading in the scripture last night. I was reading and I went over to Isaiah 5, and it's kind of like what I want to talk about today, because it's kind of like where we are at this point in this world. But the scriptures went something like, it said, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil." So that's what I want to talk about on this ride this morning, calling evil good. And I want to thank you again for joining us, because I know we're stepping into uncomfortable territory. We are, because we're basically living in a generation where truth is pretty much constantly being redefined. I mean, what used to be wrong is now celebrated. You see that? I know you see it. You have to see it. What used to be sacred, now we're mocking what used to be sacred. And people who stand for conviction, what's happening with them? They're often treated like the problem. You see, and I know there are some of you out there, you put your rally cap on and you go out and you want to stand for what's right. You want to do what's right, and you have the ability to get your voice out there and people to hear you and to be influenced and follow you in certain situations, arena, whether you're on your job, you're in the church, whether you're on a sports field or arena, wherever. You have that knack, you have that charisma, you have that wherewithal to get people to listen to what you have to say. And when you're standing up for what's right, when you're a convicted person, you're convicted within your spirit, your heart, and you stand for what's right, it seems now you're treated more like the problem person than the problem itself. The very problem you're speaking against seems to get more favor than you as the one speaking up against it. And I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I'm sure there's somebody listening that's been in that type of situation. And it seems like at the point where you spoke up, now you're being targeted. Isn't that something? Talking about calling evil good. And it's not about being judgmental. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not becoming judgmental. It's not about acting like we're being self-righteous. That's not what this is about. This is about maintaining a spiritual clarity in a confused culture, because we are in a confused culture. We are calling evil good. Because you got to understand, confusion spreads when truth becomes optional. When the truth is optional, that's how confusion spreads. And the first thing out the box I want to tell you is a confused culture creates unstable people. And I know I just said something right there. It creates unstable people. See, because hear me when I say it, when society constantly changes its moral standards, because that's what's happening. The standards are constantly changing. People begin to lose direction. They begin to lose identity. They become unstable. They become unstable, and then they begin to search everywhere for an identity. They look in the political realm. They look in social media. They look in relationships. They look in the latest trends or whatever movement is going on. But you can't build an identity on a culture that constantly changes. One year something is accepted, the next year it's rejected. That's what's going on. A lot of people, when I say it, a lot of people, hear me, please. We've just become emotionally exhausted. A lot of you are emotionally exhausted trying to keep up with the standards that keep shifting. It's hard to do that. It's hard to create an identity with something that keeps changing. It's hard to do that. Truth can't depend on popularity. Can't depend on that. Things constantly change, and constant change creates a type of anxiety in people. People need stable spiritual foundations. That's what people need. If truth changes every year, it was never truth. Think about it. Real truth. Real truth. Wow, man. Real truth remains steady. Let me say it like this. It remains steady regardless of culture, regardless of popularity, regardless of public opinion. It remains steady. Bible tells us, look, that's the same. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Culture evolves. It does. Technology evolves. Look at where we are right now with the AI situation. But truth does not evolve. Truth is steady. And you got to understand that. You cannot walk around confused because it makes you unstable. And if you're unstable, you're not dependable. And if you're not dependable, no one will look to you or look for you to be of any use. Because right now, we need people that are able to be useful. I tell people all the time at work and that's trying to do something or build themselves up, I tell them, don't just be visible. Yeah, it's good you show up to work every day. Yeah, they see you here every day, but can you be used? Don't just be visible, be viable. Have some significance about your presence. Second thing I want to talk with you about, and I'm very passionate about this because I see it. I see the erosion of spiritual leadership. People are just now teetering on just heresy, just saying anything they want to say in church, in pulpits, all across this land and country. Profanity, vulgarity, all types of things. And nobody is convicted anymore. Nobody is, and it seems that way. And this is what I'll tell you about that, because when you have an absence of conviction, it creates the presence of confusion. When people stop standing for biblical principles, confusion feels like it's kind of like a vacuum. It just sucks you in. It does. A lot of folk today, they're afraid. They're afraid of rejection, afraid of being criticized. They're afraid of being labeled hateful because they just won't stand up. If you're convicted, you stand on what that conviction is. Biblical conviction and compassion, they can coexist. Yeah, you can care about it, but you stand up for what's right. Come on, who was that? Daniel. Daniel, he lived in Babylon without becoming a Babylonian. He was in Babylonian captivity, but he stayed true to who he was. He served respectfully while maintaining his faith. That's what he did. And we've got to learn to do the same as believers. We got to learn to live in the culture without surrendering to the culture. You know what the Bible says? We're in the world, but not of the world. We can't surrender to the culture. Understand, look, conviction is not hatred. It's not hatred. That's not it at all. You just stand for what you believe in. And you've got to stand in love and in truth. That's what we have to do. I'm not saying be soft. I know, because a lot of people, they use that saying, don't take my meekness for weakness and all of that. I get it. Don't take my kindness for weakness. I get it. But we still have to stand in love and in truth. We still have to. And I get it, because the truth sometimes is a painful thing to a lot of people, but you still got to stand on it, and you still got to speak it, regardless of who you think it may or may not offend. Well, as long as you stay silent, what that does, it really kind of unintentionally empowers confusion. That's what it does. It empowers it if you stay silent to something that you know is not right. You can be compassionate without compromising. You can. So we should. I mean, we should. As believers, we should love people. We should love people deeply without really abandoning our biblical standards, regardless of who they are or how close they are to us. If we speak truth without love, that becomes real harsh to some people. That becomes real harsh, and love without truth becomes dangerous. See, some people can take truth from you if they know that you love them and it's coming from a safe place. They can. Because you got to understand, darkness only grows where light refuses to shine. They know it's coming from a safe place, a light place, a place full of hope, a place that they can feel secure in, and you can speak to them, and they know, I know you don't mean this. It's hurting me, yeah, but I know that's not your intent. Your intent is to help me. And our intent is to should be able to help this society. These young people that are wilding out, that are doing just unimaginable, unfathomable things. Our intention is to come from a place of love, and we have to show them love. See, when we stay silent, I mean, that's when unhealthy ideas begin to spread. Think about it. It started in one spot, but if we don't speak on it, we don't shut it down at its core, it begins to spread. And spread without resistance. We complain about culture, but we contribute nothing to changing it. We complain about the young people, and man, look at these YNs. That's what they call them now. This is crazy to me, but okay. These YNs and all these different sayings and phrases that we pretty much attach to them, and we label them with, this society with. While other cultures are just sitting back being entertained by our foolishness, by our ignorance, by our lack of knowledge. It's entertainment to them. But we complain about it, but we don't contribute nothing to changing it. We don't try to make spiritually mature believers anymore. We just want to entertain people in church. We just want to jump, shout, hoot, holler, and all that. That's what we want to do. We're not having informed conversations. And we sure as heck don't have any kind of courageous leadership. If you consider the leadership that we have leadership, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because all of them, to me, have been compromised. Yeah, I said it. We need discipleship. Church can't retreat from difficult conversations. We just can't. But we are. Because we want to make sure that we don't offend, knowing that it goes against everything that we believe. But we want to keep the churches full. But what are we keeping it full of? Who are we keeping it full of? I'll let you answer that on your own. Listen, you can't heal what you're afraid to confront. I tell you this time and time again. Avoiding difficult issues or difficult subjects, that just stops. That just prevents real healing and transformation. That's what it does. I just want you to think about that. And I'm done. I'm done. But I'll say this. When Daniel was in Babylon, and we know the story of the 3 Hebrew boys, and Babylon changed their names, it changed their language, it changed their education, even tried to change their identity. And the goal of that, it was to reshape people from the inside out. And I need you to hear me well when I say this, because us as a culture, and I know there may be different cultures listening, different races, ethnic groups listening, but I'm specifically right now in this point, in this moment, speaking to us, our black culture. I'm talking to folk right now, black folk, or some of y'all call African Americans or whatever. I'm talking to folk right now. The goal is to reshape people from the inside out. I need you to understand that. It was done in slavery time. They would change their names, their language, their education, and their identity. And there's so much going on today that resembles post-slavery to now encroaching and creeping back into modern slavery. Yeah, you got some folk that got plenty of money. Yeah, they do. Wealthy, all of that. And to a lot of people, that seems like progress. But while we're being so distracted by their celebrity culture, by them bouncing a basketball, by them catching touchdowns, by looking at our favorite shows, acting in our favorite movies, on the backside, up underneath the surface, there's so much corruption going on. But we're distracted. We got to be like Daniel. They tried to reshape the people from the inside out, and that's what modern culture is trying to do today. It's the same thing. But Daniel refused to lose himself while living in Babylon. And I need you to refuse to lose yourself while living in this ever-changing culture and society that's trying to erase and eradicate everything that those former patriarchs and matriarchs fought, bled, and died for. So this week, I just want you to stand for truth with grace. Extend grace. That's what I want you to do. Dig into your scriptures. Do that. Stop outsourcing morality. And I say it like that because we're outsourcing our morality to the culture. We're outsourcing it now. Think about it. And just protect your convictions. Stand on it. Stand on it. See, the goal of culture is comfort, but the goal of God is transformation. And that's what we need you to do. So thank you for joining us for the ride to work. Listen, stay grounded, stay loving, stay truthful. We'll be riding again in the morning. God bless.